One of the most powerful features in Business Central has always been the ability to take lists and filter them to different criteria, whether they be something like the vendor list or things like posted general ledger entries in the system. You've been used to being able to go ahead and do things like if I want to filter on this department, I can go ahead and say filter this value, and this opens up the filter tab, and you can go ahead and add other fields in here to filter onto, etc. However, now what's really cool is the ability, I'm just going to go ahead and clear these filters and go back to my normal, is the ability to actually set up your filters and save them in the system. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, I'm going to go back into my vendor list, for example, and I have many different kinds of vendors here, some of which are trade vendors and some of which are, as you can probably guess, employees in the system. So what if I want to set a filter just to see my employees quickly? I can open my filter tab by either hitting that or selecting the filter options from the columns. And I'm going to say I want to filter here because I know that I'm using my vendor posting group. To separate out my default vendors from my employees. So I've now set a filter that only shows my employees. And furthermore, I can now go ahead and save this filter, give it a name, and say vendors, sorry, employees. And now you notice the the filter is saved here in a drop down. So if I want to see my employees, I can pick them or say all to see everything we have. Lots of our customers like to uh, hide things that they've blocked, like funds they've blocked or charts of accounts they've blocked. It'd be a simple matter for you to create and save a filter that where you can say, show me all my blocked or unblocked or different categories of data that you want to personalize in the system. So your ability to do filtering is greatly enhanced here in the system. You can open up filter pane. You can do flow filters, which is conditioning the data that you're seeing by adding values that say, I want to see things in a certain date range, for example, or actually the columns of data you see in the system. And again, just to reiterate what maybe a lot of people don't realize, you can actually set to a particular row in the system and say, I want to filter to just the value for this column, which may not make any sense, but you're able to quickly set your filter criteria throughout the system. So filtering has been radically improved in the system to give you all the capabilities that Business Central users have been using for several decades in the Windows client, and Microsoft now brings that all into your web modern client interface.